Jacobs, that you haven't said 28 other times up there at the podium this year, but the guy makes a Pro Bowl and is setting records around here. Just what has he meant to the offense and the way you're calling things and the way you're game planning with it?
Yeah, I mean, as far as calling plays and things like that, he's a guy you can rely on. When you need a play, you can try and get the ball in his hands, and usually some pretty good things happen. And then leadership-wise, he's a guy that just provides that steady presence, not necessarily a big juice guy or anything like that, but just a guy who goes out there every single day, does his job, and just really leads by example.
As good as and important as that run game has been, obviously it's still a quarterback league, still a passing league, you got to be able to make those big plays. Is there any danger in leaning too much into that as your identity in the playoffs, especially against top defenses, and being too enveloped with that and not the passing game, the explosive plays?
Oh, that's huge. Okay. No, I think being balanced is always probably your biggest goal. And the good thing about us is I feel like we can throw the ball when we need to throw the ball, and we obviously can run the ball as well. So we're a dual threat from that standpoint. If you look at we get down and we throw the ball and get back in the game, we have that ability to make those plays. I would say our biggest issue right now is just being consistent with that. But yeah, I think balance is what you're always striving for sure.
How does running inside more often change the play action game as opposed to if you're doing a lot of outside zone?
Yeah, outside zone, things kind of marry, when you're doing the outside zone game as far as there's certain types of play actions and boots you can do. Inside, there's not as many that you really have, but you can use a lot of pulling guards and things like that where you can get second level pull and stuff like that. So, yeah, it just changes the type of protections you have and things like that. So, it's just one world or the other, which one you're living in. We like to kind of try and live in both.
How do you decide how often you want to go under center? Is that strictly a week-to-week thing, or are there certain advantages to just doing it as much as you can?
Yeah, I think, anytime you get under center, you give those run-type formations and then throw the ball out of. I think that's very useful. You can really create some good sell with the offensive line and, mess with the second and third level of the defense to really create the space with the play-action game. So I think anytime you can get under center and be successful, it's a very useful tool. Or any, even if you're in gun, just any formations where you can make the run and the pass look the same. I think that's what you're always striving for sure.
Were there things in the Vikings game that stressed your rules and, upfront blocking? And, were there things that maybe you could learn off of that game, just in how you...
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, absolutely, the Vikings defense, we going into that game, we knew we got to be on it as far as picking up pressures and stuff like that. And I thought our backs did a really good job in that game, handling their pressures for the most part. But yeah, the biggest thing we learned, and the same thing that happened in the first Vikings game, was we got to start faster. And I think that starts with, consistency and things like that, where, you go out and you got to make sure you protect the ball and you make sure you're not shooting yourself in the foot with penalties like we did in the first half of the game. And we just had some crucial mistakes that really put us behind the eight ball. And credit to us, we're fighters. We're never out of a game, no matter what the score is. So we're going to pull ourselves back into it. But, when you play a really good football team and you spot them that many points, it's going to be really hard to win the game. So we got to make sure we do a better job for sure.
How do you better overcome the potential absence of Christian, if that's the way it ends up going?
How do we overcome not having him, you're saying?
Right.
Yeah, other guys got to step up. And, the good thing is we're pretty deep with the wide receivers. He obviously provides a big vertical threat down the field, so we'll have to find that with other guys. But I feel really confident and really good about the receivers that we have behind him. So, yeah, those guys will step up.
It looked like you might have had Musgrave with kind of a big play during that game. I think it was like a crossing, and you had him on a safety, right?
Yeah.
Is that you foresee being able to do more with him now?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can get a matchup, that's the nice thing when you have tight ends that have, that type of speed, where you can create those matchups. You can get them one-on-one with a guy that you think there's an advantage. I think the one you're referring to, we got tackled short of the first down, yeah. But, yeah, that's definitely stuff that you want to use him on for sure in the passing game.
That's the matchup
Yeah,
you
exactly. Yep.
Jade's had a couple quiet weeks here. Do you need to realize the defense has something to do with it? But do you have to get him more involved?
Yeah, I mean, you're always trying to get him the ball. I mean, he's one of those guys that, as you've seen, he can make a lot of special plays with the ball in his hand. So every game plan, you go in there and he's one of the guys that you're like, all right, this is how we got to get him the ball. So yeah, I would say anytime you come out of a game and he doesn't get his touches, you got to make sure he does, for sure.
Steno, this is not going to be a great question, so I want you to have your expectations low for it. But there's a school of thought among armchair quarterbacks that now Jordan's avoiding all these interceptions and protecting the ball, but now he's not taking as many risks. We got a guy on our station doing it. I'm just curious, when you look at how he's playing, is he being too cautious because he's avoiding those mistakes, or how do you view the way he's playing?
No, I think he's doing a good job. I thought he came out and he started slow in the Minnesota game, but as the game progressed, I thought he played really well. So just, again, it wasn't just him. It was in our entire offense. Didn't come out hot like we wanted to. So, but I think he's doing a good job. He's managing the game. He's making throws. He's creating plays with his feet, extending plays. So, yeah, I think he's doing fine. And he's protecting the football, which is very important.
So, like, how do you, as a coach, how do you weigh risk versus reward? Like, sometimes there were the throws early in the season where it was
too risky. It's like the the porridge, the Three Little Bears or whatever. Too risky, not risky enough, just right, yeah. I mean, it comes down to him making plays, and it's not just him, but like the offense. And that's the trust you have as a coach with your players is, all right, here's the play, this is the looks we're expecting. He reads it out. If he wants to take that shot, I got all the confidence in the world with him and the wide receivers and whoever's out there that they're going to go make those plays. Obviously, you got to be smart with the ball. You got to do a great job protecting the passer, so to allow those routes to develop. So, yeah, I mean, I'm never going to be mad by him not throwing interceptions. That's one thing I think, as a quarterback, that you have to manage the game. And situationally, like it's 1st and 10, you definitely don't want to take too many risks when you don't have to. And especially you've seen the success we've had this year with checkdowns. Just getting the ball into our Kraft or Jacobs in the flat. It's been very successful. So I don't know. I would definitely not say that he's not taking enough risks. I think he's doing a good job.
You have no doubt that if a team comes in here, or I guess you go to a team in the postseason that says, we're not letting Josh Jacobs beat us. We're going to make these guys throw the football to beat us. You have no doubt that your guy can get that done.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
The playoff path is obviously set to be on the road. How do you think the offensive line, Josh Myers pre-snap on those road environments this season have handled that noise and just all that goes into it before the ball?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing we have to embrace. That's going to be our reality come next week. So I think so far this year we've done a good job. There's always things you definitely can improve on. And no, I think we do a good job with communicating, especially with all the checks and things that we make. Yeah, I think we handle it pretty well.
Steno, Jordan told us yesterday that he felt like in the game Sunday his footwork got a little sloppy. Does that happen to a young quarterback at times? And when it does, is that something that he or you guys can fix during the game, or does that have to be?
No, I mean with him, it's definitely it might be a little hard to see during the game, like okay, you're overstriding or whatever it is. But I think that's one thing that Tom does really well, you know, after the game, is just to make sure, hey, go back to your fundamentals, go back to your base, and be able to kind of reset and, you know, just see that improvement. When you improve your fundamentals, that improves your completion percentage and your accuracy and all that stuff. So yeah, and Jordan's very conscious of that. That's the one thing, you know, he takes pretty seriously. So he's very coachable, and he can coach himself in a lot of instances for sure.
Steno, how's Luke look to you in a couple weeks? Is he starting to ramp up and start to look more like himself? What he's
Yeah, it's great. It was great having him out there again, and yeah, he looks good in practice, running around. It's nice to have him back for sure.